but I think they're the perfect style matchup. The matchmakers know what they're doing. When you look at, they try to find the matchup that makes the worst sense for the champion. Like, what the matchmakers do is they find the style that is that for specifically the champion, and that is what Tsarukyan represents to Makhachev. It's the toughest style. He can match the grappling, he can match the wrestling, he can match the takedowns, and now you're forced, maybe you're gonna see a stand-up fight out of two guys who don't like to stand up.
Someone could be reversed. I went back and watched some of the highlights from that first fight. Arman was catching the knee and taking him down and making him fight for every position. I know Arman got foot swept a couple times. There was just moments in the fight where the craftiness of Islam is what won him the fight. The fight IQ during the fight is what won him the fight. Arman's gotten a lot better since that fight, but where I see Arman still hasn't is it a little bit of the fight IQ. It's not quite there yet. He's still a raw fighter.
As the much anticipated rematch between Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan draws near, experts and fighters alike are offering their predictions and assessments of what is expected to be a thrilling contest.
I think stylistically, Islam, he's another version of Khabib with actually better striking, in my opinion. Great top control, just like Khabib. And obviously, he learns from Khabib, and I think that's what makes a guy like Islam very, very dangerous.
I've never encountered a 55-pounder as tough as this motherfucker, other than Khabib himself. I've been training with Islam. I remember I trained with Islam, using him as a sparring partner back when I fought Machida. And he came in like the later rounds, and I didn't really respect him, and we got caught on the wall. At one point, Islam just head on me. Little 55-pounder threw me feet overhead, landed on my head. I had to get back up, and I learned how to respect a 155-pounder like I never have.
The first encounter between the two, which took place when Tsarukyan was just 22 years old and took the fight on short notice, proved to be a challenging affair for Makhachev. Although the champion emerged victorious, Tsarukyan displayed impressive resilience and skill, which many believe could play a pivotal role in the rematch.
That if you are able to compete with him in any way, it seems as though you did better. Bro, he shut Dustin out and submitted him. And the story was Dustin Poirier. I mean, this guy, Islam, has finished Charles, finished Volk twice, and then just finished Dustin Poirier in his last 4 fights. That is a crazy number. But when you think about Arman Tsarukyan, he has constantly improved, and he has said since the first time they fought, the moment he got another opportunity, he was going to beat Makhachev.
Makhachev, who has since grown into one of the most dominant forces in the lightweight division, remains the favorite for many analysts. His coach Javier Mendez, who has also trained renowned fighters like Khabib Nurmagomedov, has full confidence in his fighter's ability to retain the title. Mendez acknowledges that Tsarukyan is a talented wrestler, but he believes that Makhachev's all-around skills, particularly in grappling and striking, will prove too much for the challenger. Mendez also points to Makhachev's improvements in striking, adding an extra dimension to his already dangerous game.
Do you foresee that rematch looking very different than that first fight?
I definitely foresee the fight being different, but I just don't know to what areas is going to be different. You know, it's going to be what he's going to give us that we're going to take. Because, you know, Islam, like I've said many a times, we can switch him from round to round, minute to minute, second to second, and how he fights. So Khabib and I would just have to assess what Arman comes to the table, and we'll have to see what we need to do, adjust, you know, and if we can implement our game plan. And it could be the ground or it could be stand-up, doesn't matter, because Islam can do it all.
However, Austin Bashi sees things a little differently. Despite acknowledging Makhachev's superiority, he believes that Tsarukyan has the tools to pull off an upset. Bashi recalls the first fight between the two and highlights how Tsarukyan, at just 22 years old and fighting on short notice, gave Makhachev a tough challenge. Bashi feels that with more experience and preparation, Tsarukyan could be better equipped to exploit any weaknesses in Makhachev's game and come away with the victory.
You know, I got Arman actually in that one. The first time they fought, Arman, I believe, was like only 22 years old and gave him a real good run. But this time around, I think he could pull it out.
For many, Makhachev's recent performances have solidified his position as the man to beat in the lightweight division. Brandon Gibson emphasizes Makhachev's growth and his ability to adapt in tough situations. Gibson particularly points to Makhachev's victory over Dustin Poirier as an example of his championship mentality. Gibson believes that Makhachev's ability to dig deep and rely on his grappling skills will be key in the rematch. He argues that Tsarukyan, though a skilled opponent, may not have the same level of versatility and experience to overcome Makhachev in this fight.
I think Islam is rightfully the favorite. He's racking up that championship experience. In the bout with Poirier showed his championship character, like being able to really dig down deep in those later rounds, despite the cut, despite being wobbled. I think Islam's really growing as a champion, and I think we won't see such a close rematch between those two. I think Islam shows domination and showcases his grappling once again.
Adriano Yanez also sees the matchup as exciting, particularly due to the contrasting styles of the two fighters. While Yanez admits that the first fight was incredibly close and even more competitive given the circumstances surrounding Tsarukyan taking the fight on short notice, he remains unsure of who will come out on top this time. Yanez acknowledges Makhachev's dominant run as champion, but adds that Tsarukyan's skill set and hunger to prove himself could be enough to make this a tightly contested affair. This unpredictability, according to Yanez, makes the rematch one of the most anticipated in recent memory.
Oh man, that's gonna be a fun one, man. That's one of those ones where I just kind of sit back and I just want to watch, and I'd watch and not really break down just because I don't know what's exactly gonna happen, but just because of the run that Islam's been on, I'm gonna go Islam, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arman took the win. That one for me is more like to me that's a dream matchup, dream fight.
Drawcar Close also shares a similar sentiment to Yanez in that he is torn between the two fighters. Close, while acknowledging Makhachev's physical advantages, such as his size and strength, expresses hope for an upset. Close enjoys seeing new challengers rise to the top and break the established order, and while he recognizes that Makhachev is likely the favorite, he still holds out hope that Tsarukyan could surprise everyone.
Islam's a big guy. I think Islam was going to win it, you know what I mean? But I hope Arman wins, you know what I mean? I like to see change in the top, move those numbers around and, get some guys out. So hopefully Arman pulls it off, but I think it's going to be a tough.
Joaquin Buckley offers a more nuanced take. Buckley recognizes Makhachev as one of the most dominant champions in the UFC at the moment, but he is also curious about what improvements Tsarukyan might have made since their first encounter. Buckley points to Tsarukyan's hunger and his determination to become champion as potential factors that could make this fight closer than many expect. While he ultimately believes that Makhachev's skill set and experience will prevail, he remains open to the possibility of Tsarukyan pulling off an upset.
I don't think anybody got anybody number, to be honest with you. So, we'll see what Arman has changed up and what he would do different, in this fight, the second one that's coming up. But, for me, I think Islam is just, just a dominant champion right now. So I would just, pick, Islam just because. But, you never know, especially when you got somebody that's hungry and determined to become a world champion themselves.
Billy Quarantello, who also believes that Makhachev will come out on top, argues that Tsarukyan's short notice for their first fight may have played to his advantage, as it threw Makhachev off his game. However, with a full training camp this time, and the expertise of Khabib Nurmagomedov and the rest of Makhachev's camp behind him, Quarantillo is confident that Makhachev will be even more prepared and will ultimately retain his title.
And that's going to be an exciting fight. I think, Arman took that last one on short notice, but I still think Islam's going to get it done. I just feel like he's on a different level than Arman, and I think, Arman taking that on short notice actually kind of helped him because I think it kind of threw Islam off a little bit. Now that he's going to have a full training camp with Khabib and with all those guys that are in his camp.
While praising both fighters for their talent, Joshua Van believes that the matchup is a difficult one to call. He highlights Makhachev's consistent growth and improvement in every fight, which has helped him become one of the best in the world. Van also gives Tsarukyan credit for his impressive performance against Oliveira, but ultimately feels that the fight is too close to predict with certainty.
Ooh, that's going to be a great fight. Islam is getting better at each fight, and the guy that you just mentioned, he's very good too. His last fight against Oliveira, right? Yeah. That was a great fight too. So I think this is like a 50-50 fight.
On the other hand, Yusuf Zalal is more inclined to favor Makhachev. Despite acknowledging that Tsarukyan presents a difficult stylistic challenge, Zalal believes that Makhachev's overall skill set will carry him through the fight. He touches on the common comparisons between Makhachev's victory over Oliveira and Tsarukyan's performance against the same opponent, noting that while both are impressive, certain styles can present different challenges. Still, Zalal is confident that Makhachev's grappling and striking will be too much for Tsarukyan to handle in the long run.
But I have a thing. I think that's the toughest stylistically matchup for Islam. I do believe that. People saying, oh, he fought him on short notice, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you should see what Arman is doing. And they're comparing like, oh, look at what Islam did to Oliveira and then Arman to Oliveira. I was like, in this game, styles make matchups. It doesn't matter how good you are, but some styles are just not your kryptonite. So I think it's going to be a really strong matchup, but I'm definitely going with my boy Islam.
Alex Hernandez recognizes Tsarukyan as Makhachev's most competitive opponent, but ultimately leans toward Makhachev. Hernandez praises Tsarukyan for his versatility and toughness, but believes that Makhachev's overall game is on a different level. He points to Makhachev's improvements in his striking, his grappling, and his footwork as reasons why it will be hard for anyone to beat him, including Tsarukyan. Hernandez emphasizes that if anyone can dethrone Makhachev, it would be Tsarukyan, provided he executes his game plan flawlessly. However, he still believes Makhachev has the advantage in almost every area of the fight.
You know, Arman's his most competitive fight. The dude's an absolute monster, so they're both so tough. I'm gonna lean towards the champ, Islam, but yeah, Arman's a motherfucker to beat. So these guys work cut out for him. If Arman doesn't do it, who I think would be among the most competitive, I don't really see who beats him, right? Yeah, like who else? Yeah, I think that's why it's such an exciting fight, because they're kind of similar in their versatility, but I think Islam's continue to improve all around and on his feet, and tactically they've got a real brilliant team.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to see him losing.
Terrence McKinney also leans toward Makhachev, citing the size advantage as a key factor in the fight. McKinney believes that Makhachev's physicality will give him the edge in most scrambles, and that over 5 rounds, Tsarukyan will struggle to match Makhachev's strength and conditioning. He acknowledges that this could be one of Makhachev's toughest title defenses, but ultimately expects Makhachev's size, strength, and experience to carry him through.
I like what Arman brings as threat on the feet, but I think Islam will, just because of his height, will be able to win most of the scramble. I think he was a bigger person just in general. And I think 5 rounds dealing with a person with that much muscle, I think Islam shows why he's champ still. But this will probably be his toughest title fight.
Benail Dariush is also firmly in Makhachev's corner, but he points out that Tsarukyan could present some problems. Dariush acknowledges that Makhachev tends to slow down as the rounds progress, but he also notes that Tsarukyan slowed down even more in their first fight. Dariush believes that for Tsarukyan to win, he would need to secure an early victory before Makhachev has a chance to impose his will as the fight goes on. Despite this, Dariush still favors Makhachev due to his superior talent and dominance in the division.
So I think Islam's going to win, and the reason why I think that is because, Islam slows down in his fights. What I'm saying is nothing new. Everybody knows that. But when they fought, Arman actually slowed down more than Islam. So I think that tells you that that's a big advantage. Because in my opinion, if Arman wins, he would have to win early against Makhachev.
Jamal Hill sees Makhachev as the favorite due to his immense strength, conditioning, and well-rounded skills. Hill acknowledges that Tsarukyan is a talented fighter with a promising game plan, but he believes that Makhachev's consistent performances against top competition justify his position as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Hill feels that Makhachev's status as the champion and his continued growth as a fighter make him the favorite in the rematch.
I've seen Islam. He's been out here the last couple of days. He looks big. He looks strong. He's been working. But Arman's been putting together. I believe it's an interesting fight. It can go either way, and I just can't wait to see it.
Islam's the favorite. Do you think he should be the favorite in the fight?
Yes, 100% he should be the favorite. He's a pound for pound best fighter in the world right now. And his performances have left not much room to doubt him, you know, so yeah, he should be the favorite, but at the end of the day, it's a fight.
Curtis Blades also sees Makhachev as the clear favorite, pointing to his experience as a major advantage. Blades notes that Makhachev has faced tougher competition over the years, and his ability to handle high-level fighters has been proven. For Blades, Tsarukyan would need to pull off something extraordinary to overcome Makhachev's experience and skill set. He sees Makhachev as a fighter who can adapt and find a way to win, no matter the challenges that arise.
I'm gonna go with Islam. He's already shown he's got the fortitude. Not to say Arman hasn't, but I guess Islam, he's done it against harder guys. He's already shown me he can do it. So I guess Arman would have to prove me wrong.
Dustin Poirier, who has faced Makhachev in the past, believes that Makhachev's striking will be a significant factor in the rematch. Poirier highlights how Makhachev's crisp boxing has improved in recent years and will give him the edge over Tsarukyan if the fight stays on the feet. Poirier also acknowledges Makhachev's grappling as a crucial weapon, one that will be difficult for Tsarukyan to defend against. For Poirier, the combination of Makhachev's striking and grappling makes him the clear favorite in this fight.
I think Islam's striking has really evolved. I think he's made leaps and bounds with the striking. Arman's going to have a tough time taking him down, so I think the fight will be on the feet until Islam decides to take him down. I just think Islam's striking is a little bit more crisp. His boxing is a little bit more crisp right now. So if it stays on the feet, I'm going to Islam. Obviously, the grappling, probably Islam, so that's who I would pick.
On the other hand, Michael Chandler is blunt in his assessment. He believes that Makhachev will easily defeat Tsarukyan, pointing to the champion's superior all-around game. Chandler acknowledges Tsarukyan's skills, but feels that Makhachev is on another level entirely. Chandler's confidence in Makhachev's dominance is unwavering, and he believes that Tsarukyan will be in for a tough night against one of the best fighters in the world.
Arman obviously beat Oliveira last fight. Arman has been charging forward. I think right now I will be surprised if Arman pulls it off. I think Islam has continued to solidify himself as the best lightweight in the world by far with his performances, and I have no problem saying that. His hands are getting better. He just outstruck Poirier. He can out-grapple anybody. And I think he truly is doing it for more than just the punches, kicks, knees, and elbows and being the UFC champ and the glitz and glam. He's got something deeper that he's fighting for. He's fighting for an entire village, an entire portion of the country, an entire religion, and an entire legacy for himself and also Khabib and Khabib's father. So it's something special. It's a beautiful story.
Charles Oliveira, who has fought both Makhachev and Tsarukyan, offers a slightly more balanced perspective. Oliveira sees the two fighters as having similar styles, with both possessing strong wrestling and striking abilities. However, Oliveira leans slightly toward Makhachev, believing that the champion has a slight advantage in strength and overall technique. Oliveira acknowledges that Tsarukyan has the potential to win, but he believes that Makhachev's experience and marginal advantage in certain areas will ultimately carry him to victory.
I'm very flattered about the fact that they use me as a comparison for the fights, but I think Islam is ahead because of the people that he fought. I think the competition that he's had. I mean, he's fought some really tough people. I've said this. I think that they're really tough fighters. I think that Islam is ahead by a little bit, just a tad. But I do believe that the one that's more mentally and physically ready on that day comes out with the win.
Paul Craig takes a firm stance in favor of Makhachev. Craig believes that Makhachev's technical mastery in wrestling and ground control is nearly unbeatable. He praises Makhachev's grappling style, which he believes is nearly unmatched in MMA. For Craig, Makhachev's ability to dominate on the ground will be too much for Tsarukyan to handle.
I don't think there's anybody going to dethrone these Dagestanis. I think they're just their style is beautiful, and I do believe that it's going to go one way. and there's going to be the champ's going to stay the champ.
Chase Hooper also believes that Makhachev will come out on top, citing the improvements he has made since their first encounter. Hooper notes that fighters often improve by around 10% after securing a title, and with Makhachev's elite wrestling background, it would be unwise to bet against him. Hooper believes that Makhachev's preparations and growth will make him too strong for Tsarukyan.
I'm taking Islam. I mean, it was kind of close in the first fight, but it's one of those things where people always say, like, you get 10% better after you get the belt. And, I mean, how are you going to bet against, like, put cash down against a Dagestani wrestler? Like, I think that's the smart money.
I'm just saying I've rolled with...
While acknowledging Makhachev's strengths, Brendan Schaub offers a critical perspective on his pound-for-pound ranking. Schaub emphasizes the importance of evaluating a fighter's opponents and strength of schedule when determining their place in the rankings. However, despite his criticisms, Schaub still believes that Makhachev remains the favorite in this fight, primarily due to his dominant skill set.
Now, when it comes to pound-for-pound in your division, I look at strength of schedule. I look at who have you beat, how have you beat them. Islam's strength of schedule, when we're talking about, if you look at the pound for pound list, the top 5 has by far the easiest strength of schedule. He's not my pound for pound number 1. I'll be very clear. Not my king. Not bend the knee, dude. Refute. Cut my head off. Cut my head off. Not hating on Islam. I know you guys are gonna run with that. I'm not doing that. I'm not hating on him. There's nothing he can do about it. It's not his fault. He fights whoever's in front of him. But for his management, whoever's telling this, dude, let's jump to 70.
As fight night approaches, the consensus among many experts is clear. Islam Makhachev is the favorite to retain his lightweight title, while Arman Tsarukyan is seen as a formidable challenger with the potential to cause an upset. Makhachev's well-rounded skills, experience, and physical advantages make him the most likely winner. So, what are your thoughts about this? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.